Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters. Coming on next, we got Rase versus Saiyan, and that's going to be a Paladin versus Paladin. Rase representing Team Genji, justsaiyan representing Team Radiance. And, also Rase looking to see if he can improve his record. Both of the other fellow Latin American players from Argentina and Brazil, now Gidan and PNC, got wins today. They were winless. And now Rase can put another step up in the right direction on behalf of his region, also for himself, because then he'd be 2-2.
Yeah. I don't know.
Saiyan, in the meantime, is 1-2, looking to see if that he can also improve his week 1 performance from going winless to going an undefeated week 2.
This is a very weird matchup. Holy Wrath Paladins, their goal is to draw through their entire deck, then shuffle a 25 cost Shivala that costs 0 because of the spell reduction to the deck, and Holy Wrath their opponents for 25, killing them in a single turn. Now, the weird thing about this is because they're both playing the same deck, there's barely any minion combat that happens. They're both just drawing cards the whole game until one player wins. And it's also made more complicated by the fact that timeout can buy you time. That maybe you can go for a little bit of a different line by trying to go for lethal over 2 turns. Trying to get your opponent to 25 can also be difficult, because since minions don't stick on the board and you don't have very powerful minions, how do you deal that damage? Okay, it's with Choose Server Champion, but then the healing comes into play. It's a very weird matchup, and it effectively comes down to who manages their hands well enough to draw the maximum amount of cards, who finds time to dump the cards that don't matter, and then who navigates the late game by just kind of... It's hard to put it into words, but who does their things in the correct order. Like that, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, if you waste a timeout early on, then you're screwed. Like, it's very weird, Dan. It's very weird. And then there's the tertiary decks that come into play, where Race's tertiary deck has Sound the Bells, Archmage Vargoth, and Baron Geddon. Maybe those minions make the difference. I don't know. I don't know. I have no analysis. I have nonsense in my brain. I have nothing. Go on without me.
Sometimes TJ just starts sentences and he doesn't know where he's going. It's like an improv conversation.
Sometimes people start matches of Hearthstone and they have no idea where it's going. I feel like my analysis aptly described what kind of, as Derek put it, clown fiesta of a mirror matchup this is.
Yeah, an improvisation.
Okay. I concede. Have at it, Dan. Good luck.
Rase has 4 cards that all draw cards. I think Holy Wrath is... So here, I have a couple of thoughts on this matchup. I think the first is that Holy Wrath is a card that you don't want to spend too frivolously, because your opponent can heal to 30 fairly easily in this matchup.
Job's done.
So if you get careless and you use your Holy Wrath, you might corner yourself, and you have to like end the game really soon. The second thing is you have to make sure that when you clear boards in the late stage of the game, that you have to leave no minion behind, because you give your opponent an opportunity to Shivala.
Yes.
That being said, all of the things that you were saying is correct. The main thing that you'll be observing is how many cards can these guys draw,
and how many cards can they dump?
And also, can they sneak any damage in between? You know, like, can a Novice Engineer and a Bloodsail Corsair from Saiyan just sneak in enough damage to really disrupt Rase? And then there's some things that line up, like the 1 copy of Choose Over Champion versus the Bloodsail Corsair. That's like small little advantages Saiyan can get.
But then no Choose Over Champion in just Saiyan's deck.
Right, so he can't threaten a 29 combo damage.
But then there's also the awkward thing of Rase has an Acolyte of Pain, which is very difficult to play because of hand size. Right. Saiyan has Loot Hoarder, which is much easier to play, and also has Bloodsail Corsair and Humility, which are much easier to dump.
Maybe Frozen was just so next level with his High Priest to call that he was just ready. He said that he thought more people would bring OTK Paladin, didn't he?
So he his tech is probably for that.
Yeah.
But would he put the 2 people that he was playing against that weekend on OTK Paladin? That I don't think so. Well, so I think the High Priest to call was in there for a different reason, but it is next level. And if either of these players had it, would have a significant advantage, I think.
I do think so, actually, because Bloody Face is a combo deck lover. And I think if he knew that he'd be playing that, then absolutely. That's a great read from Frozen. Food for thought. Obviously, speculation at best. So Saiyan, in a spot of like what he wants to play early on, Bloodsail Corsair obviously dumps cards out of his hand, but has use later on. He does have only one copy of it, but it's totally fine because Rase only has one copy of Choose Over Champion.
Dump cards, Dan. Name of the game. Just
Well,
dump them.
What I like about this play is that not only does it dump, but it also has the most power onto the board. And it kind of like forces Rase to be like, well, if he, instead of allowing him to be comfortable to coin out, you know, the prismatic lens, it's like, well, you actually have to deal with this board, otherwise I'm just going to get 3 to 4 chip damage every turn. And that adds up very quickly. So in Race's mind, maybe he consecrates this instead. Maybe he Hammers of Wrath. Hammers of Wrath. He uses the Hammer of Wrath.
Let me think.
Because, you know, Consecration usually is 4 mana, deal 2 damage to your opponent this matchup. There's not really that much that you really want to do.
Yeah, Wild Pyro is the biggest minion you can hit with it. Or Zilliax. Boom.
Quickly.
Found it.
Yeah, or obviously Shirvala if they ever get to that point. But
usually if they're playing Shirvala,
Yeah.
they're also
so
killing you the next turn anyway. So
yeah, this might look like a nice value play for Rase, and it technically is, but what this does from Saiyan is it stops Rase from drawing for a turn, and then also gets the coin out of his hand, which is a little bit nice, you know, small little advantages here and there. So Prismatic Lens, Saiyan's probably thinking about, like, one of the things about Prismatic Lens is that as cool as it is to swap Shirvala to make it 0 mana cost early on, that only really is relevant against aggro decks. What is scary is if you use Prismatic Lens and then Shirvala swaps with a card that you really need, like Holy Wrath.
or Timeout.
Or Timeout. Timeout becomes 25 mana, and it's like,
Yeah.
Shrink Ray becomes 2 mana. Race is in a nice spot here because he's able to keep this 1/1 on board. Hey! Equality at 2 mana. That seems like it's a pretty good card.
It does. Now, Baleful Banker at 4 mana, that's a terrible card. It also makes his math very weird. Because sometimes you need to fit in like a timeout in the turn that you're Holy Wrathing. And that makes it so that's not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, he has second Baleful Banker, but it gives him less flexibility in the later stages of the game.
Isn't it kind of ironic that there's 2 equalities in hand, but they're different mana costs? It's not equality to me, TJ.
I wonder.
It's not. Race has Acolyte of Pain, but he has a full hand, practically speaking. And one way to lose this matchup is to burn your win conditions, as Race is fully aware of that.
Yes.
If you guys missed the day 1 match of week 2, Race was going up against Monsanto. Race was doing a good job balancing his hand all game, and then all of a sudden plays 2 minions, had 8 cards. Monsanto had 2 saps, followed by Race burning his Shirvala. Whoa!
Oh, yeah.
Speak to me.
You gotta love it. And I bet you next turn he's gonna shrink away his Acolyte of Pain to make sure it only draws 1 card. All right, put him to 25.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to heal, so the early game damage, not that consequential, but if Race can get him lower, that does spook Saiyan a little bit.
I mean, he has Double Flashlight, he has Shirvala, he has Zilliax, Crystal Smith Kangor.
The light bends.
Saying dumping some cards.
Yeah, dumping cards himself so that he can free up his hand space. Truce over Champion. I guess that's okay. I think Race can start this off. Hold on. He's going to draw 1 card, so he'll be at 9. So, yeah, he can start this off with the card draw. Looks like he's going to bump the Acolyte to see what happens before he spends his mana. Wire Pyromancer means that if he uses Hammer of Wrath, he will clear the board and have a 3-1 in play, which seems reasonable.
Yep.
I like that because the same reason why we're mentioning is that Pyromancer can pressure as a 3-attack minion.
Yeah, if he
Let me think.
it's better to Hammer of Wrath face and trade the 1 damage into the Crystal of Kangor. Heals for 2, but he's got 3, so he offset.
With fire?
Unless you want to keep.
Quickly.
Wait, what? That's just 1 miss damage.
Yeah, that's 2 missed damage. I don't think it's that consequential.
I don't. Okay.
Like, Pyromancer's gonna die.
Yes, but
He'd be at 24 instead of 26.
wait. He was at 27.
Oh, right, because he'd heal from the Christmas with Kangor.
Yeah, it's 1 extra damage. I'm pretty sure. Wait, no.
No, I think it's the same both ways.
Is it the same?
Because if he's at 27, he heals up to 29, and then he hammers of Wrath out of 26. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Same was not at full life. Oh,
No, yeah. It is,
Prismatic
you're
Lens
absolutely-
swaps 2 with 2, which makes 2. Nothing really special there, but it still draws cards, which is important. And more important, actually, what is important is that Saiyan dodged Holy Wrath from becoming 25. You were saying, TJ, that some players were talking about how they don't even want to play Prismatic Lens
It was specifically saying, actually. He said
if it's
he
too late
feels-
in the game.
If he feels like he's ahead, he just won't play Prismatic Lens. That's the only time. This game, I don't think he knows if he's ahead or behind, so he has to take the risk.
I wonder.
I feel like Saiyan is ahead because he's done a better job of managing his hand size, which is like a lot of what this game comes down to.
Right. And Rase needs to get those cards out of his hand. So choose over champion or Hammer Wrath in this spot is
Hammer of Wrath would...
probably what you're looking for.
Yeah, Hammer of Wrath would allow him to do it. He's at 9 cards right now, so he can Hammer of Wrath, replace that 9 card, and still
Let me
still
think.
get in there.
Yeah, also very reasonably, he could just shrink ray in the spot. But then he's behind in the card draw. So part of the problem is that Saiyan's been the one dictating when people are drawing versus removing. Because he's been presenting the threat and then Rase reacts. So then Saiyan can choose, okay, now I'm going to draw again. Rase says, okay, now I'm going to draw again. And that just means Saiyan's a little bit ahead every single time. Part of it is that he went first, so he has more mana crystals. So perhaps you could be reductionist and simplify it down to, well, going first gives you an advantage. But Saiyan's capitalizing on it by doing exactly, taking that initiative. And now he can hammer at the face. Now, once again, Rase behind on board.
And behind in the card draw. Because Saiyan has
Yep.
8 cards left and Rase has 12.
Yeah, you know, that being said, Rase still has one final out, which is shuffle in Shirvala and then try to go for whatever odds that he has. That actually got more complicated because Baleful Banker went to 4 mana. If he had Shirvala at 0, you can play Baleful Banker for 2, and then play another Baleful Banker totaling 4 mana. Then Holy Wrath to try and get 2 chances of Shirvala for Holy Wrath to hit.
Yeah, if you feel like you're behind, you have to go for that play. But it is a last-ditch effort.
Very last ditch. However, if Saiyan recognizes that, then the timeouts come into play, right? Like, okay, I'm not going to give him a chance. I time out. But then there's also the argument of, very similar to the Freeze Mage Mirror of the past with the Ice Block. You could say whoever Ice Block gets popped first loses. There is an argument to state that whoever timeouts first is in a disadvantageous state, because then they are behind. Okay, Rase catches up in the card count slightly. Alright, so Saiyan has a card draw with Flash of Light. Can deal with this Crystal Smith Kankor through a Consecration, Crystology.
Looking to see how many 1-attack minions he has left in the deck, which I think he's used all of them. He has. He used Crystal Kangor. He played Blood Mage, Bloodsoak Corsair, and both Novice Engineers. Right? Both Novice Engineers, I'm pretty sure.
It's still mana expenditure that he can use to discount Shrivala even further. That is one thing that you should consider, which is as much as it is nice to be conservative with resources, sometimes you want to just spend the card to get it out of your hand, but also invest it into a discount of Shrivala.
All right, Dan, here's the play. Holy Wrath.
That's actually really sick if you know Shrivala is your 30th card. It's like, because your opponent doesn't know it.
Yeah, but you do. So they're not going to time that.
Right.
They're not going to play around.
They're not going to time it. If there's 2 cards left in your deck and you draw not Shrivala, you're
that's
like,
so sick.
Holy Wrath for 25
Shrivala
right
is the
there.
last card in your deck. It's actually one of the only
That's actually a good thing.
It's a good thing. It's the nuts, Dan.
That's awesome.
Oh, man, imagine if they print a card that's like, shuffle this card to the bottom of your deck.
Yeah. Oh.
You'd win Paladin Mirrors every time. No, because then they'd know.
Yeah. That feels like it's too deterministic, but it is a funny thought, you know, at first.
Yeah.
Rase has the ability to grab board initiative. In this spot, needs to find a way to dump his hand. I think he's in a similar spot to Saiyan, that he doesn't have many one-attack minions to draw, if any. And with the True Silver Champion, Rase can threaten up to 29 damage off the Holy Rat. No attack here.
I'm ripping a Holy Wrath here, Dan. I'm ripping it.
That's lethal if he gets Holy Wrath.
It's a 20% chance to win. Do you need the second copy? Your opponent's Crystal Smith Kangor is gone. The likelihood that they can heal to full before you draw a few more cards in your deck, unlikely.
Okay, it wasn't it, DJ. It wasn't it. Second copy of Humility. He would have actually done the exact opposite spectrum of damage. He would have done 1 instead of 25.
It would have been cool.
So the average damage was 12.5.
Yeah, that's good.
That is why average is a not a perfect statistic to measure by. For all the people who are in Stats 101, you would pick the median damage. What's the damage of the middle?
I'm in Stats 1.
That's still 1 higher than I expected. I just didn't think you'd be taking stats at all. Here's a funny thing. Blood Mage Thanos does 26 damage with the Holy Wrath, so Rase has a 1 in 6 chance to win the game, right? Or actually, no, Shrivala's in his hand.
Shrivala's in his hand.
It was a cheap card. I didn't notice it. He has a 1 in 7 chance to win the game right now.
I wonder.
Because the Holy Wrath would deal 26 at the swing with the weapon.
Saiyan should have gone face last turn to set it up again.
It's unlikely. Okay. I mean, if anything, it's just a cool, badass way to lethal your opponent.
Sup?
But your chances of winning this game are much higher than, what, 13, 14%?
That was 20%.
Move quickly.
Well, sorry, for Rase, if he does it right.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about Saiyan's last.
Saiyan.
Actually had a legitimate reasoning behind it. Like, second Holy Wrath, not always needed. It draws you a card, it expends this mana that you weren't planning on using anyway. I don't know, Dan.
What a matchup where you just equality to do nothing.
No chance anymore.
Well, I mean...
No chance to
Yeah,
style
he's
on it, that's what I meant.
Yeah, he's on 26 now.
Does Saiyan have the means to deal the last points of damage? He does have a True Silver Champion.
I wonder.
He does?
Oh, no, he doesn't. He doesn't have a Hammer of Wrath. How does he deal the last points of damage? He can't even kill Zilliax.
Fatigue. So what he could do is wait for the timeouts to be used and then
Let me think.
wait for the fatigue tick and then go for the Holy Wrath.
Or he could use the first Holy Wrath. He's got to track the cards that are left in his deck.
Does it really come down to the fact that Rase has a True Silver and Saiyan doesn't have a way to remove it?
So there's a Shrink Ray left in the deck for Just Saying, a Ziliax. And a Baleful Banker.
So what? Okay, no, this is Saiyan's game plan. He can Holy Wrath and then Shrivala. He can Shrivala, shuffle in Holy Wrath, put Rase down to like 5 or whatever. Rase can't heal back up beyond that, so he'll have to do that and timeout. Saiyan clears, then timeouts, and then he's ahead in the timeout train, and then he'll have the final say. So it's actually, this actually has devolved into, sorry, devolved is a pejorative connotation. It's turned into a chess match where it literally comes down to move tempo.
It's evolved.
Some may say it's evolved. And now Rase,
it has Fiesta.
is he doing it?
It's time to test your
Oh, he's gonna do it! There's a 1 in 6 chance. Oh! 5 is still significant, though.
He's got another Baleful Banker.
Right.
And Saiyan doesn't have the luxury of doing that.
Saiyan has 1 Baleful Banker? Oh, you're saying that
No,
he doesn't have the luxury of doing that right now.
No, he doesn't have the luxury of doing it at all because he has 0 way to deal 3 damage from his deck.
I wonder.
He can't get him to 25.
Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, because Saiyan's utilized things like Shrink Ray, he doesn't actually have a very convenient way to deal with the Shrivala. I guess he could Humility it, and then Consecration. That's about it. Maybe Ziliax helps him get back into the life count. But again, Saiyan's game plan, just to reiterate and lay it out very cleanly, is he wants to get Rase in a position where he can Holy Wrath first. Then Rase is at like low life. He needs to bounce his total back up, whatever it is. And Rase is forced to time out because he won't be able to heal above 25 in 1 turn. So then Saiyan gets to play timeout second. And then Rase will play his second timeout, and Saiyan plays his second timeout, and then Saiyan has the final say. But Race's plan is to heal outside of 25 before then. Oh, is he going for it now too? Just shuffling in. Oh, he doesn't have enough mana.
No, didn't have enough mana with Consecration. All right, so both players are at 3 cards left in the deck.
Yes.
Both players have a Shrivala and a Baleful Banker left in their deck. And both players have 2 timeouts in their hand. The difference being Rase has a True Super Champion and a Consecration to get the damage onto Saiyan, whereas Saiyan does not.
Okay. Yeah, I was anticipating Saiyan holding on to it, but he knows that Rase has... Rase could also just beat Saiyan a lot easier by like just going for the Holy Wrath 1 more time. In this spot, Rase still has a 1 in 4 chance, 1 in 3 chance right now to win because the Shrivala is still shuffled in, right? So
yes, but if he goes for that
and misses, he loses.
Yes.
And so if Rase feels like his chance to win this game is higher than 33%, he won't Holy Wrath here.
And this game,
it might be worth swinging the weapon here. Yes, I agree with this. Because if Saiyan starts a timeout train, then he's still safe outside that range. You gotta threaten him. Oh, Saiyan did have a second Shrink Ray. I apologize.
Yeah, his last 3 cards were Shrink Ray, Ziliax, and Baleful Banker. Now he just has the Baleful Banker and the Shrivala.
He knows that there's a Prismatic Lens remaining in Race's deck, which means that that doesn't guarantee the shuffle. So he doesn't have to time out here. Okay, Rase now, if he draws Shrivala, he doesn't draw Shrivala, he has a 50% chance to end this game right here. Like, right here, right now. Can he increase that percentage, though? That's what he's working as his baseline win % chance from this spot.
I think he wins
Let me
way more
think.
if he just... He could go Wild Pyromancer, timeout Ziliax.
But if he times out first,
I don't know if it matters because they're even in card count. He would go up to 30. He has the swing with the True Silver Champion, and he would need 3 fatigue ticks.
oh wait, you're right.
He would need 3 fatigue ticks before he would ever get into the 25 range.
Because Saiyan also, I think Saiyan was also lining up the double Holy Wrath, right? Because his double Holy Wrath deals 27.
Well, he can't guarantee double holy, like double.
Right now he can't, but before I
Yeah.
think that's what he was lining up for. That's something that I missed, that he could just double Holy Wrath for 5. I was always thinking about one
I'm
or the
almost out
other.
of cards.
Wait,
You didn't know there's only 2 minions in the deck. It's Baleful Banker and Shavala.
yeah. So he just mislethal.
I'm almost out of cards.
He Prismatic Lens into Baleful Banker. He just Holy Wrath. Cheval's the last card in his deck. He was at 23 health.
You're right. Oh, you're right. He totally missed it. I think the rope got him. I think he just like totally choked under that pressure. And Rase, he should know that. He should know that 100%.
As soo-
Wait,
If he knows that Baleful Banker and Cheval's the last card in his deck, he instantly starts that turn off with
well,
Prismatic Lens.
Saiyan has 25 damage right here, and then he can time out. Oh no.
I'm out of cards.
Should Saiyan have attacked into the Ziliax? I guess it doesn't matter because of Divine Shields. And then he can shuffle it again and go back to 30 life.
It's time.
Rase shaking his head. He knows what happened. That was not supposed to be. Oh, man.
So if Rase knows that
Saiyan's trying to find a way to kill Ziliax and just push for lethal right here. But he doesn't have a Pyromancer to deal damage. He needed an Elven Archer. Because if he had the Elven Archer, he'd be able to punch through for the damage.
and now he can't even time out.
Yeah, because he dies to fatigue. Oh,
Because he dies to
no,
fatigue.
He can attack with the True Silver and gain 2 life,
Oh yeah, you can attack with
and also
you can
Shavala, of course. That did look like it was a possibility, though. If Saiyan had the ability to get past that Divine Shield a little easier, that Ziliax could have punched
Wait.
in.
But now Saiyan doesn't have a Shavala.
I wonder.
So
Oh, yeah, he did.
Rase can Wild Pyromancer, time out, Shavala,
It's time to
and swing with the True Silver.
You're right. I'm following you. Keep going.
And then how does Saiyan ever... Wait, no, he's taking fatigue.
Wait.
He gets lethal again because the fatigue hits.
You're right. He gets there because of the 4 damage to the face.
Wait, no, because
Oh, no, the
Ziliax
Ziliax
heals him.
heal.
What the world? Oh my god!
Wait, no, the Divine Shield. The Divine Shield.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
he figured it out.
Oh no!
Whoa, what a wacky game back and forth. We talked about how this
Saiyan-
matchup gets insane.
Saiyan didn't time out or Baleful Banker last turn.
Yeah. What the heck? That's a very complicated.
I told you,
endgame.
Dan. I told you.
I gotta tell you, I played like 3 or 4 games with this matchup myself, and I never encountered anything close to that.
No, it was very straightforward most of the time. One player got ahead in card count
Right.
and got ahead in timeouts, and that's all that mattered.
Yeah.
Now
Now, like
the-
one player was like 5 cards deep, and the other player's like, okay, I guess I lose.
Yeah, like that's when you play the matchup. Most of the time, it seems pretty straightforward. But I don't
Dude,
know, man.
The players are like realizing this as we are realizing it too. That's what's so funny. And like Rase was like, oh, Rase should have won that game earlier.
He did miss a lethal. Granted, it was a very hard turn to figure out. And then he didn't have, once he decided to play Prismatic
Wow,
Lens.
That's so ridiculous.
Like the optimal turn there is Prismatic Lens first. You know that you have 2 minions left in the deck,
Right.
so there's no chance for a switch. If you draw Shavala, then you have to go through another plan. If you draw Baleful Banker, Shavala's the last card in your deck, you Holy Wrath, you win because he's at 23. So that's like what you start off with that turn. But then finding the lethal outside of that, and I don't know why I'm just saying, if he plays timeout, then he's behind in timeouts.
if he plays Baleful Banker, then he doesn't have anything to shuffle in to go for the Holy Wrath. So maybe that's his.
If he plays Baleful Banker, then he draws Shavala and can't shuffle anything in. So he has to rely on Shavala living. But he should also know that he should also know all the cards that are left in his hand.
I don't know, man.
I
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're gonna go to a break, and when we come back, we're gonna see Game 2 between Saiyan and Rase with Paladin versus Paladin.
My name is Casper. My alias is Rase. My username actually goes way, way back. I didn't actually come up with it myself. My father is like somewhat of a gamer and he had like his own gaming stuff. But what I did was I just stole one of his tags and used it for myself.
So Hunter is really your dad.
Well, not anymore. Right now I reached like my ultimate goal for this year. We happened to win the World Championship and that was like the biggest thing. So I'm like still extremely happy about that. I think that the Grandmaster program provides an exciting opportunity to be able to play like high competition Hearthstone every week. Only competing against the EU players to start with is going to be a very difficult job and it's going to be super hard to be like one of the standout performers and then qualify to the global finals. I would have to stay at my best to be able to qualify.
Dalaran will be ours! Once we land, you know what to do! No we don't. You didn't tell us to play it. I didn't think I had to. It's perfectly obvious. Bank! I am to be robbing the bank! I take henchmen for vault smashing and shiny stealing! Plan is obvious! It's a start, yes, but...
You won't get a single coin unless you take care of the city's guards. Let's rip open Violet Hole and unleash the prisoners on the city. That'll keep the guards busy.
Certainly, but that's not... No! First, we must sow chaos in the streets. I got rockets. Anyone need rockets? Try to see the big picture. Shiny, shiny, shiny!
We have to break their will before we can loot, you fools!
Please, everyone, please! Let's drop some rockets to the city. Oh, big candle. And then we just take the whole shebang wherever we want. Yes! Finally, you're exactly right.
Seriously?
That's dumb. Weak candle. Just wait till second gear kicks in. It's just like I said. We're going to take Dalaran for all that it's got. It's a genius plan. It's simple. It should have been obvious. And absolutely nothing will go wrong.
So, genius, how do we land?
Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Grandmasters, where the Paladins are going at it, and TJ and I are just in for the ride. I'm strapping in, TJ. I'm going to stop pretending like I know anything about Hearthstone, and I'm just going to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I did play actually quite a few games of this Paladin deck. I also talked to a few of the players that brought it.
I did too. You saw me. You
Yeah.
saw me lose a lot.
I saw you lose a lot.
From rank 1 4 stars
Yeah.
all the way to rank 3 star.
Yeah.
Rank 3 at 2 stars.
Yeah, my wife watched me win a lot at like top 300 legend with the deck, including in a couple mirror matches.
Okay. Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, I know. My wife thinks I'm the best Hearthstone player in the world. Because that's what I tell her.
It was a lot. It was a flex in many different areas at once.
Yeah, I'm married. What of it?
And you win at Hearthstone. And your wife is interested in what you care about.
Well, she did like the puzzles of Hearthstone.
From the Boomsday Project?
Yes.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Still, I actually went back like a month ago and I realized I didn't finish the Boomsday Lad puzzle. They only did I did everything except Mirror. So I just went back and did it.
Very fun.
Yeah,
very fun.
good stuff.
Loved it.
Now, another thing that's equally fun is this matchup, OTK Paladin. I guess when it comes down to a very close, like both players are drawing around the same and they get to the finish line around the same, it's very entertaining.
It is very entertaining.
I think the
Oh,
problem
man.
was, at least on our side, when I was testing it, whenever I ran into it, is that it just felt like I was always very behind or I was very ahead, and I can kind of cruise to a victory.
Yeah, either you draw card draw that you can dump easily early on in the game, or you draw nonsense that you can't dump easily early in the game. And we saw last game that it's actually important to have things like Consecration and even Wild Pyromancer in the later stages of the game. Saiyan would have had much easier clears on like the Shirvala turn or the Ziliax if he had held on to a Wild Pyromancer. So, like, these weird things that you wouldn't expect to be valuable in the late game end up being valuable, but not every time. And that's where the kind of confusing part comes in. It's like, well, where do I get my edge? And Just Saiyan felt like he was ahead. It felt like he had better hand management. It felt like he was drawing faster. It felt like everything was going his way all the way up until he lost. And that's what baffled me. Even Just Saiyan played as if he were ahead.
Yeah, it seemed like everything was good until the final moments.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a game that I would have to go back and review.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching that game again because there's got to be something that tipped Just Saiyan off that he had to take a risk at some point. And honestly, maybe 1 in 5 for the Holy Wrath for lethal was his best option, which is the crazy part about it. I was saying it like almost jokingly, on the borderline facetiously, and it could have been the best line, which is the crazy part.
I'm massaging my brain, trying to get in the zone because this early game, again, it comes down to all the draw that they have. But Saiyan, I think he's going to value the punch to face a little bit more because he was a couple points off from going for some kind of lethal opportunity, right? I mean, if anything, he was 1 damage off at one point.
Let me think.
You know what's also crazy, TJ?
What?
That game, not a single timeout was played.
Not a single timeout
We
was
went
played.
all 60 cards deep on both sides. Not a single timeout was played. I think they were just like, they understand dynamic. I think every player that plays this deck understands the dynamic of like, I don't want to be the first person to play timeout.
If you're the first person to play timeout, you lose. And so the next evolution of that is you never play timeout.
Right.
So
Which is like pretty interesting to say the least.
so what you do is you just don't put timeout in your deck. I'm just kidding. That's
Well, I mean,
a joke.
that is interesting. Like, if you end up, if this matchup ends up becoming a thing, maybe you take 1 timeout out so you can draw a little bit deeper, and then you mess with your opponent because they think you have 2 timeouts and you don't know.
On ladder, yes.
Right.
Or you make your tertiary deck. You switch 1 card.
Right. It's just 1 timeout for like 1 extra accolade or
Oh,
something.
what? No. What? I'm onto something here, Dan. What's a disruption card?
Unseen Saboteur.
You take
You
out one,
pulled out their timeout.
you take off. You take out 1 timeout. You put it on Unseen Saboteur. That's the only change you make.
Oh, no. You put in Hecklebot so that when they shuffle in Shirvala, you like Hecklebot
No,
it
because
out.
they shuffle and survive, they kill you right away.
Oh, okay. No, but they're going to do it earlier in the game, too, if you press the... Oh, okay. No, you're right.
You take out both timeouts, you put in 2 Hecklebots, you just jam them as early as possible.
Yeah.
You put in a Hakar the Soul Flare.
Yes. Okay, I like that plan. Hakar the Soul Flare.
Faces Manipulator.
Or if they shuffle in and they have too many cards in their hand, you can play like King Mukla and force them to, and then they shuffle.
So you take out both timeouts, you put in Hakar the Soul Flare, King Mukla. We found the tech.
This is the worst paladin deck of all time. All right, okay. Centering back in here, the Prismatic Lens from Saiyan, making Holy Wrath cost 25. That is the nightmare.
Wow. We didn't even look at that.
That was a very big moment here for Saiyan.
Yeah,
And
that is massive. Not having access to that second Holy Wrath at all.
Well, it shuts off the chain play that Saiyan might have thought about, which was shuffle in Shirvala when you have 3 cards left, or when you have 2 cards left. So you have 3 cards left, and then you draw 1, and then you Holy Wrath, Holy Wrath.
The light bends to my will.
Knows that the Bloodcell Corsair is gone, can hold this True Silver as long as he wants.
Do you want to hold onto Shirvala in your opening hand in this matchup because of that possibility? No, that feels like
you want
it's
the draw.
that's
You want the draw.
statistical anomaly. It doesn't happen fairly often.
Yeah. There's so many minions left in the deck. There was Ziliax. There was Loot Hoarder. There was another Wild Pyromancer. There was Baleful Bankers.
I hope you like my invention.
Like 6 other minions, I believe, were left in the deck.
Right.
And then a ton of spells. So it's like, sure, if you get Shirvala and then you get a Consecration. Yeah, a Consecration would be nice, but you can live without it. And Second Holy Wrath, honestly, you can live without it, but it's much more difficult.
It's difficult, and before everyone starts spamming the GG series over Race 2-0, Race, look at his hand. Absolutely 0 cards in his hand does anything to draw. He's stalled out.
Yep.
I like his use of Equality. So he even gives his opponent that extra life point. Race does pick up a draw card, though, with the Flash of Light.
Gotta get that engine going.
Doesn't pick up any more card draw. See Race pretty upset about that. Consecration here is... it's very meh. I wonder if he wants to maybe even get rid of a Shrink Ray in this spot, just because it feels like he has 2 qualities, 2 Shrink Rays. He's not going to be able to really use all of that, and he has life gain, so he's not going to be really worried about taking 2 damage here. In fact, he can make that up with the Choose of Champions.
Yeah.
I think that
like
might
the
be
Shrink Ray.
Shrink Ray. It's just like a better mana investment. And if he doesn't want to use Shrink Ray because he wants to maybe affect his opponent's board, he can utilize Equality. Wow. Wow, your opponent just floated 5 mana. Saiyan has to already be like locking in as to understanding his position. This is kind of similar to what my normal games are, which is like one player stalls out, and now Saiyan can fly ahead in the resource count.
Well, this is actually very awkward, because every card that he throws away here is also a pretty key card, with the exception of Flashlight, but then that fills up his hand. So maybe he just wants to Flashlight and burn a card.
I wonder.
He has the only card that's really scary to burn is the second Baleful Banker.
Yeah.
I think everything else he's okay with burning. But if he does that, he's also revealing his hand basically to Race.
Yeah. But you don't want to play Baleful Banker. You don't want to play Timeout. You definitely don't want to play... Oh, no, you can play Cheval. Yeah. And Baleful Banker. Okay, no, this is good. I didn't even see this play. Because he's got second Baleful Banker and he can't Holy Wrath twice anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
But he doesn't have the option to use it for healing. That's the problem.
I mean, based off the way it goes, the only healing that you really get is 1. Like, Raze is not going to pressure him below 25, I think.
Yeah.
So this is a Shrink Ray opportunity for Raze. I definitely see Saiyan here, like, just shuffling it in, but it's not ideal, to say the least, here. Race can attack with his Choose Over. Just not going to. There's a 10% chance for lethal here.
Wait, no, there's not.
It's actually not true because he doesn't have mana for
He doesn't
Consecration.
have the mana.
He doesn't have enough mana for Consecration.
All right, next turn is a 1 in 9 for lethal. Most likely.
Let me think.
Unless he heals.
I mean, the Hammer of Wrath here, decent damage. Emphasis on decent. Loot Hoarder, Flash of Light. I think Saiyan wants to save his Flash of Light for the pinch scenarios in the late game.
Yeah.
Reporting for duty.
He got burned last time for not having heal.
Saiyan soaring ahead on board. So much pressure.
I mean, 6 power on board is pretty reasonable in this matchup.
That's way above average.
Rase has the Consecration. Doesn't have the Pyromancer. I think that's like the real stinger.
Yeah. It's an easy card to dump. Also would make it very easy for him to clear off this board.
Consecration and Ziliax seems to be the first play I think of. I think in Race's mind he also wants to set up card draw, but he doesn't have the luxury of being able to do everything cleanly.
Unity. Precision. Move quickly.
Double humility. Saiyan can draw with his Flash of Light. But that's it. And all of a sudden the card draw goes the opposite direction. Saiyan has no card draw. Draws Shrivala.
And now Saiyan has like no way in his deck
Yeah, and
to bring Rase to below 25 health because this Consecration's negated by one True Silver Champions win.
Reporting for duty.
yes, we could also facetiously say that Saiyan had lethal that turn. But obviously he did not know that Shrivala. Had he known Shrivala with the next draw, that would absolutely be the case. Now he has to wait for his Baleful Banker. Race picks up the Pyromancer, which allows him to activate his Acolyte. But the only spell to do that is Timeout, otherwise he just kills his own minions? Oh.
I mean, maybe that's what he wants.
Okay, so then you play Pyromancer, Acolyte, Shrink Ray.
Sure.
Pyromancer,
Acolyte, Blood Mage,
Acolyte,
Timeout.
Equality. Timeout. Oof. If he knew that Saiyan had only one Holy Wrath, I think he'd probably do that.
Yeah, but he does not have that
Move
information
quickly.
available to him. Ah, this is smart, because then he reduces his Acolyte Pain to one draw maximum. Very wise.
Okay, Saiyan has
Okay.
a 1 in 6 chance right now.
Oh, boy.
He's still setting him at 23, which in his mind gives him another turn.
Has he used all of his healing? He's used everything but... No, I think Ray still has one Flash of Light left. And Shrivala. But he's used Ziliax, he's used one Flash of Light.
Yep, and his Crystal Smith King.
And his Crystal Smith Kangor.
I wonder.
This is a tough position for Saiyan. I don't think that there's a clean way to set up a Shrivala in the next turn.
Move quickly.
And he needs to dump his hand too. I also would like to see him push the 1 damage to face.
Yep.
Timeout. Are the legends true? Oh, okay. Another timeout.
I don't know. I'm feeling like Saiyan might have to go for...
Yes,
The Holy Wrath.
if he's cornered. If he's cornered in that position, he
I
should.
mean,
Oh, that's a pretty good draw.
he's got a Shrivala in his deck
Oh,
in Holy Wrath.
Right, actually, that is not a good.
And it's a very high likelihood. Because he doesn't have many minions left. He Crystologied his last 2 1-attack minions.
Yes.
He has a... Does he have a Pyro left?
Let me think.
I don't think it's a good chance. I don't think it's good to play this Prismatic Lens.
But you're behind a card draw, so maybe you feel like you have to.
Oh man!
Oh,
He
it's
gets
the
the Pyromancer.
And
That's
Holy Wrath.
huge.
That's a 2-mana Holy Wrath. So now he can Shirvallah, Baleful Banker, and double Holy Wrath. So he has a guaranteed lethal setup with 2 cards left in deck.
Yep. So he just drew another card deeper.
Woo!
Oh my gosh! He's just ripping it.
Oh,
I was like, if he hit it, Rase is like, I'm not missing a potential lethal here. He just goes for the 2-mana Holy Wrath.
wow.
Woo! I was not expecting that.
All right, can we do it again?
This is tense.
20% chance. And actually, Rase didn't swing last turn. Which means that just saying, if he wants to get greedy, can make that a 25% chance.
Okay.
Let me think.
No, you're right. And now,
But I think there's a flashlight though left.
right. Oh, one problem that Saiyan's also going to encounter is that if he might be in that same situation with True Silver again, where if he decks out with Shirvallah, he takes fatigue damage. Rase deals 29 plus the 1 damage to fatigue, and he loses. So he actually has to gamble on he can't go for a guaranteed. He has to go for a percentage chance where he fails. There has to be built-in failure rate, because Rase has inevitability on his side.
I think
And also, Rase can time out to get to that spot.
this may be the last chance.
Let me
I don't think this is the last chance. I think it's getting close to it, though. It's getting very close.
Oh, what this does is make it so he can't swing with True Silver.
Right. But then Rase can time out right back.
Ah, has he played double flashlight? I should have been keeping track.
If Rase just timeouts right back, then Saiyan times out, then Rase times out, then Saiyan has 2 cards remaining in his deck, and then he
Let
goes to the
me
Shirvallah
think.
shuffle. But he has to also clear the board, and then Rase has 29. Ooh, this is getting very interesting.
Ah, man.
Okay, this second prismatic lens.
Yeah, no.
It's Baleful Banker, Holy Wrath number 2,
Shirvallah, and maybe Flash of Light? Because double shrink rate, double quality.
There's a chance that Rase throws this game if he plays Prismatic Lens. His best play might be just to play Pyromancer and do nothing. Well, I guess timeout. Right? Timeout right back.
Draws him a card.
Yes, you're right.
Yep, there's the Flash of Light. I think that was that might have been Saiyan's last chance.
Pyromancer timeout.
Oh, he can break the timeout chain here then.
Oh, you're
Because
right.
he goes up to 30 and clears the board. So he breaks the timeout chain.
Okay. This is new. I actually haven't encountered a situation where I break the timeout chain in my play. Pass. Doesn't give an opportunity to rush out of that 23 life.
And gets rid of his own minion, crucially. So that Rase has nothing to attack in with Shirvallah.
Right, exactly. The lifesteal rush for Ziliax or Shirvallah. Ziliax already been used, but
Yeah.
something to note.
So he kills off his own minion because he knows that Rase has double Baleful Banker left. So he could get up to 30. So
Let
Saiyan
me
is saying, you
Wait.
either have to play your timeout now, or I have a chance to win.
And then Rase can draw with the Flash of Light right now, but he gets closer to fatigue damage. But he still gets close, one step closer to guaranteeing the attack.
Yeah, he still has True Silver Champion, which is the difference maker.
Right. True Silver Champion seems to be a difference maker, which is kind of surprising that Saiyan did not go to the True Silver lists. He had a double True Silver tertiary deck, but he also would be losing card draw in exchange for it.
Ah, man. I think that 1 in 5 was Saiyan's best chance. Was Saiyan hoping that the Flash of Light was the last card? That's a much lower than 1 in 5, right?
Wait, I mean,
Oh no, it's a 1 in 4.
Shirvallah's the guarantee draw next turn.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of cards.
Saiyan draws Ziliax. Ziliax is, I mean, he's safe from the True Silver swing if Ziliak survives, but he knows Rase has a Pyromancer. So Pyromancer,
I wonder.
Holy Wrath, with 3 mana remain, doesn't have actually a way to get past it. We know that Race's Pyromancer costs 5. He doesn't know that. But let's assume that there's a wild Pyromancer Ziliax to get past it.
Let me think.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Timeout number 2 for Saiyan. I think he just feels like there's too many ways for him to die off of the Holy Wrath. He needs one more turn. But then if Race just timeouts right back, if Race times out right now, and then
You could just
Like,
consecration,
consecrate?
Shirvala, Baleful Banker.
if he Shirvala Baleful Banker, he might draw his Shirvala, and then he doesn't have Holy Wrath. He needs to hold on to it.
He has 2 Baleful.
Oh, he's 2 Baleful Bankers. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, this is just guaranteed. Second
Yeah.
time Scani, he takes 1 point of fatigue, can
victory
attack with
is-
Ziliak.
That's right.
Yeah, very nice setup from Race there at the end. And saying, it's crazy to think that the correct line is taking a 1 and 5 to win with Holy Wrath. Knowing that there's 1 flash of light left in the deck, that's his last opportunity.
It's hard to recognize the situation though, because you know you're always like floating the possibilities of what might happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like several times during that series, either player could have chosen to go for a percentage win, but I think Race is in the advantage because that True Silver champion.
Yeah, the True Silver champion just outpaced everything. And
Yeah.
maybe Saiyans supposed to hold on to Bloodsoul Corsair, but it only gets rid of 1 charge.
Right.
And at the end of the game, Race had both charges left.
He didn't swing at all.
Yeah, he didn't swing at all. So it's not like that would have been the difference maker at all. So, you know, maybe it comes down to lists, or it's Race just kind of piloting it better at the end of those games, it seemed. Saiyan couldn't recognize in time, or went for a different line than trying to go for the 1 and 5s, 1 and 4s to win the game. But it comes down to Race having a 2-0 victory.
All right, Race is joining with us on the line. Race, are you there?
Yeah, hey guys, what's up?
All right, so that series was pretty weird, huh?
Yeah. I practiced it a little bit like today and yesterday with Fled, and it's really, really weird. Like both players racing for the draws, and sometimes you need to risky the first roll ref, and I don't know, it's really weird. Like you have 2 timeouts, but you never use it because like saying use it first this game, and you basically lost when you use first because the other player can play like twice in a row and you will lose. And first of all, I'm in shame because I missed the easiest lead of my life.
Yeah,
at the first.
we're not going to bring that up.
Yeah, we're not going to bring it up. You want to, yeah. Nothing
That's
happened.
okay.
What lethal?
Like my list, I'm playing True Silver Champion, so I have a huge advantage, so I can go like for 30 and say and don't. So that game I was like, oh, how can I lose this game? And I was wondering all the possibilities because I was so far ahead, and then I didn't realize my last card was Shirvala and missed that little.
Yeah.
What a shame.
It's okay, it happens, man. And you know the results speak for itself. Being able to get the 2-0 victory. You know, people are talking about how good Paladin is. Do you know, are you a big believer in Paladin, or you know, are you still kind of undecided on it?
No, I think it was a good meta call for this week because everyone, I was expecting a lot of mages because the deck is really powerful, and Paladin is pretty good against it. Like I'm playing my primary list with 2 equalities and 2 shrink ray, so it's pretty good against mage. Unfortunately, none of my opponents was playing mage, but I think it's a good meta call for this week for sure.
Yeah, bring Paladin, don't play it against
Bring Paladin, play against another Paladin, and the weirdest rogue list I've ever seen. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last question, I guess. Latin America went undefeated today. I think it finally get to show its true colors. I mean, that must make you really proud because I think going into today, you were the only player from Latin America that had a win, right?
Yeah. it wasn't the start we want, but like PNC and Ogda won today, and like I'm 2-2, not bad at all. We'll try to improve over the next weeks for sure.
That's right. You're very nice to let the other North American players have a head start so that you can climb back.
Yeah.
And come back. All right. Congratulations, Reyes, on your victory. We'll see you back next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. See ya.
All right, 5 matches in. Rase versus Saiyan as the former Tempest member and now Radiance player, still struggling a little bit. Saiyan and Muzzy both at 1 and 3.
Yeah,
it's not what you want to see.
Not a great start. And, you know, I tried to make excuses for them earlier on in the broadcast by saying they were focusing on Conquest because of the World Championship. They played a lot of Hearthstone leading up to that.
Yeah.
So not really, I wouldn't blame them for having a slow start with how much work they had to put in for that.
No.
But they got to pick it up now. It's the pressure's on because, you know, while it still may feel like they have a lot of time left to play, those losses can stack up quick.
Yeah, because you have to make up the difference. And if you want to get to the top 3 for the playoffs, got to start picking it up next week. But it's not over. We're just getting underway. And, of course, the early lead may not be indicative whatsoever of the final results. Our last match of the day is Bloody Face versus Frozen. If you guys love Paladin, we have one more for you. Paladin versus Warrior, and it's going to be a doozy. We'll tell you all about it when we come back to the America's Hearthstone Grandmasters.